Hello, and thank you for participating in this webinar. My name is Chris Rackle, and I'm the Legislative and Political Coordinator for CSEA in Region 6. So the title of this presentation is Needed Today, Gone Tomorrow, because we've all seen CSEA workers face unparalleled challenges at their workplace and then rise to confront those challenges head on. In short, New York has stayed running because of the outstanding work of our CSEA members when our communities needed us most. But if nothing's done, those very same members who we've relied upon will be laid off as services are cut and departments are shuttered. As you probably know, the state recently passed their budget. On the surface, it looks very similar to what we expected the budget to look like before the pandemic, but there are two huge differences. The first is that the state has a projected $15 billion budget deficit, and the second is that Andrew Cuomo has been given superpowers. In order to confront our budget's challenges, the legislature has granted, for this year only, budget superpowers to the executive branch. This means that the budget created 3 look-back windows where the Department of Budget is allowed to take a look at their revenue and compare it to the state's expenses. If there's even just a 1% deficit, the governor is empowered to balance the budget in the middle of the fiscal year. And as all of you know, more often than not, budgets get balanced on the backs of our workers. So how it works is this. The 3 look-back windows are April 30th, June 30th, and December 31st. On these days, the governor will submit his budget balancing plan. If it's rejected, the Assembly and the Senate will each have 10 days to approve a different plan. If no action is taken by the legislature, the governor's plan goes into effect. Now, it's important to note that we do not expect the legislature to oppose whatever plans the governor puts forward. The plans are very unlikely to be popular, so the legislature would rather let the governor make the hard decisions. Let's be honest, if the Senate or the Assembly wanted a seat at the table, they would have never given up all of this power. That means that if we get to the point where the governor releases a plan, there will be very little CSEA can do to fight back. Now you might be thinking, hey, I'm not a state worker, so this won't affect me, right? Wrong. This affects everybody. The fastest way to reduce spending is through layoffs, closures, and cutting services, which result in even more layoffs. This is not only a state employee issue. These spending plans affect everyone. And that's because over 80% of county budgets are state mandated. Local governments are heavily reliant on state funding. And as public employees, whether you work for a county, a town, village, school district, you're a childcare provider, chances are pretty good that at least some portion of your salary is paid by state funding. If and when the program, department, or district you work for is given less money by the state, they will be forced to lay off workers and cut services, especially since the tax cap prevents municipalities from raising taxes. So why are we in this position? Well, like I said before, New York has a projected $15 billion budget deficit. The fiscal position New York is in is not anyone's fault. It's not because New York spent too much. It's because COVID-19 slammed the brakes on the economy. People not being allowed to go out to eat, go shopping, attend sporting events, or any of the other fun things that we used to do has resulted in a massive amount of lost revenue. Because of the pandemic, the deadline for everyone to pay their taxes has been extended out until the summer, which means even more lost revenue for the state. When people are scared about the future or worried about getting laid off, people save their money rather than spending. Consumer spending accounts for over 70% of the US economy, and in just 1 month, it's dropped to its lowest level since the Great Recession. New York is so broke right now, it needed to borrow money just to pay its bills and keep the lights on. So what's the solution? What we need is for the federal government to pass another stimulus package. You might be thinking to yourself, they just gave up a ton of money to states. Why wasn't that good enough? The CARES Act was very helpful in providing states money they could use to directly battle COVID. They could use the money to buy PPE and medical equipment like ventilators, or to cover the unemployment insurance costs that have skyrocketed in the last few weeks. But like we talked about, that doesn't solve our problem because this is not a spending problem, it's a revenue problem. We need the next stimulus to grant unrestricted aid. That is money that states can use in the general fund so that they can begin to balance their budgets. So how do we get this message out? Well, for obvious reasons, some of the things that we would normally do to raise awareness are out the window. Picketing congressional offices, doing petitioning or postcard campaigns, writing letters, none of these will be effective because of everything that's going on. But you know what? With so many New Yorkers sitting at home, bored and scrolling through Facebook, this is the perfect time to do a social media campaign. We created several different memes, all highlighting members who have served the people of New York during these trying weeks to get out the message that CSEA members did not fail their communities when they were needed most, So now we need our federal leaders to step up for them. We'll be using the hashtag needed today, gone tomorrow. These memes are set up to be easily shared on social media feeds of our targeted leaders. And they're also easily shared across all of the most popular social networking platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For those who do not feel comfortable using social media in this way, with the help of the toolkit, you can also send an email message or find a short script to take a phone call from this meme. We plan to start to focus on our senators, and as the campaign progresses, switch to our targeted congressional representatives. We even have a video to show you just how easy it is to share the meme. Now, what you see right here is one of the most important parts about the campaign. It's really important to remember that when sharing these memes, to tag your legislators. We're doing both of our senators, and if you'd like, you could tag your congressman as well. This ensures that they get notified and see the meme. If you don't tag them, your friends will see it, but our elected leaders will not. The governor has taken a lot of really good steps to protect the health as well as the economic well-being of our members. Many pro-worker measures enacted here in New York were taken up and are now helping workers in other states as well. However, I cannot overstate how dire the economic situation is that we find ourselves in. Through this crisis, Andrew Cuomo has shown that when he can be, he's pro-worker. But if nothing's done at the federal level to fix our lost revenue, the governor, our county executives, our mayors, supervisors, or school superintendents will have no choice but to make hard decisions that result in tens of thousands of layoffs. It's already started, as states are reeling under the burden of the deficits that they're facing and have begun laying people off. Pennsylvania just announced a temporary unpaid furlough for 9,000 of its state workers, which is about 10% of its workforce. It's up to us to make sure that our congressional representatives know that New York needs federal relief, and they need it so that all of our members who are essential today are not gone tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening.